Hey, everybody, it's Mark Zachary with Next Step Home Loans. Hope you're having a great day today on Real Estate Pros of Houston. We have Ricky Chavez, and we're very excited to hear Ricky's story. He is a great realtor in this area, and we're going to ask him about where he focuses and what makes him so special. But Ricky has a great reputation in the area and does a really good job of taking care of his clients, or he wouldn't be on this show. We have sought out some of the top agents in the city of Houston, and we're exposing those agents to anybody that may be looking for an agent, or anybody that may be looking. Maybe you're an agent and you're looking to make a move somewhere. You can reach out to Ricky and his team and just see what they may say. So, Ricky, we really appreciate you joining us today.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate you taking the time to meet with me. It's
Yeah,
definitely an
yeah.
honor.
These things are a lot of fun. We'll put it on the podcast. We'll put the video on YouTube and then share it on all of our social medias. And but they are a lot of fun. I've always tell people, hey, we're gonna run about 30 minutes, but man, like we said before we hit the start button, it that 30 minutes will fly when you start telling your story. So we'll start there, Ricky. Just tell us your story. How long have you been doing this? How long have you been here in Houston? And really just your overall story. We want to know not only your business, we want to get to know you as a dad as well.
Well, I appreciate it. So, I got my license in 2017 after I retired from corporate America. So, 2002, I retired from the military. I did 20 years and then went into corporate America, did some time with FedEx, a couple oil and gas companies. And then I actually was commuting back and forth in Boston to Boston, working for a
Oh,
company till we decided, okay, it's time for me to go ahead and throw in the towel and retire and stay home. And so I did that. My wife had really already been in a realtor. So she saw me at home. She wasn't real impressed with it. So she's like, go get your license, you know, go do my open houses. And I figured, hey, weekend, I don't care. I used to be an Army recruiter. So, I mean, I've been thrown out of every house you could ever imagine in every city in America, from New Mexico to South Carolina to Chicago to Indiana. You can't even, I said, how hard could this really be? And then so I went out and I started doing open houses for her. I started taking her clients around. And then she decided one day, hey, listen, Better Homes and Gardens and Gary Green, I had decided to offer her an opportunity. She is very unbelievable. She's the district manager. I think that's her title for the West region of Better Homes and Gardens. As just like everybody knows, Better Homes and Gardens is the largest broker in the city. It's one broker that has all the offices versus some of the other brokers that have multiple different brokerages under the same flag. We have Mark Woodruff, who is the lone holder of the Better Homes and Gardens Gary Green offices between here, Galveston, and Conroe. So it's always a benefit to be in an organization like that. One of the things they very much pride themselves on is training their people. I know earlier on we talked a little bit, and some of the concerns you mentioned from the real estate agents that you've talked to is, that they don't feel like they're getting trained enough. There's definitely a 4-week program that they're offered by our company where they come in and they go and they learn everything about, number one, our rules, right? And when I mean rules to being a realtor, then about what our corporate offers them, then how to go out and establish rapport with people. And because buying and selling a home is the number one most expensive career move that anybody will ever have. It's
right.
a big, it's a financial accomplishment that they can show later on. So you want to make sure that you do your best to help people through that. Probably about 2 years into selling, I decided to start a team. This will be my 3rd year as a team. I have 4 agents on the team, always open to meet good agents. I think one of the interesting things about being on a team is the agents out there, they say one thing, but maybe don't typically do that one thing. So it's really important that somebody who decides to be a realtor, that they really understand the commitment that they have to make. They're used to
Yeah.
being in corporate America where they go to work, they have a list of things that they need to do, they do them, they leave at 5 o'clock, and then it's done till they come back.
Right.
Out here in real estate, it's a 24/7 opportunity if you want to do good and really serve your clients, and your clients. I mean, you got to think they're buying a $200,000 house. That's a lot of money to the average person.
Right.
So, it's really important that you do all the things that you need to do, make yourself available to them. And with Better Homes and Gardens, Gary Green, each of our offices has a manager, a coach, and a bunch of support people, not to mention the teams that are lodged in, and a bunch of the offices that are the leads, and the other agents and the senior agents are available to help each other. So I think that's a pretty
Yeah.
unbelievable thing.
Yeah, that's very nice, because that is one of the common things that I hear when I go out and teach classes myself, that they just don't have the support and training and they feel like they're out there just flapping in the wind. So, but before I forget, I want to back up to one of the first things you said, and we'll come back to this. But you mentioned you were in the military for 20 years. Well,
Roger.
thank you, number one, for your service. And
Thanks.
where did you serve? Or what did you do?
So, I started out in the infantry. It was a mortar guy, jumped out a little bit of a couple airplanes, and had an accident, ended up in recruiting command. So I got the opportunity to go to a bunch of sales schools throughout the United States,
Okay.
to learn how to recruit people into the military and to the Army. And believe me, people don't wake up in the morning just wanting to go in the Army. You have to go find them, determine what's going on with them, and help them see what the benefit is. But if you think about it, it's not much different than, talking and meeting people and helping them realize the opportunity of buying a home or selling a home, or that they can even own a home.
Hmm.
So I think that's pretty amazing in itself. So it kind of helped me move into that. And when I retired, I went into human resources, which here again, it helps people realize what their potential is within their corporations. So
Yeah.
yeah, my
Are
dad
a lot of
retired,
the
I
I'm sorry.
retired, and
Go ahead.
my sons are getting ready to retire. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So are a lot of the deals you do are they for veterans?
So, I definitely do a lot of stuff with veterans, and there's quite a few veterans that I've had the opportunity to help. But it's not just veterans. I
Mhm.
definitely go out of my way for veterans, but I mean, I go out of my way for everybody. It's just
For
the way it
everybody.
is. I mean,
Yeah.
my wife and I, once upon a time, when we first met, we were, a young couple with 4 kids in the military, because we have the his, hers, and ours. And
Uh-huh.
we realized how hard life really was. And so now we can sit down with people because we're a little bit older, and we can say, okay, listen, you know, I want to talk to you like I talk to my kids, because I want somebody to talk to my kids when we're not around, and give them the guidance that we would hope everybody would give each other. And that's one of the beauties of doing what I do now in my life. I'm retired.
Yeah.
This doesn't, pay my mortgage. This doesn't pay my bills. I get to move as fast or as slow as the individual wants. And to me, that's very important.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on your great family, and I did see your shirt earlier. It said, "I'm a dad and a realtor, and I'm not scared," or I don't know exactly what it
Scared of
said, but
anything.
it
Yes.
doesn't scare me. Nothing scares me now. So,
Yeah, right.
anyways, let me ask you this: when did you buy your first home, and what kind of experience was that? Good,
So
bad?
so it's interesting enough. My wife had bought a home earlier on before I met her, and then excuse me, we we refinanced it together. It was a $38,000 old Victorian, about 115 years old, in the hood of Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I mean, it had a basement. In the basement, it probably had an inch and a half of oil that we
Oh
had to clean
no.
out.
Oh
It
my
was
gosh.
horrible, but it was what we had, is what we could afford, and we bought it for 38,000.
Wow.
You know, and so it was pretty cool. We had lived in government quarters. We had lived in rental homes, in different places throughout the United States. So we bought that, and then we moved to Houston. We bought our first home in Houston, in the Bear Creek plantation
Okay, yeah.
area. And then as our kids started graduating, we started moving north. So we
Hmm.
bought our next house was in Bridgeland, where my daughter graduated high school at Ranch. And then we moved to Fairfield, what I call God's country now. I moved there right before Harvey, and I remember coming in my office right after everything went crazy, and putting on Facebook in Better Homes in the Fairfield Facebook page saying, "Hey, listen, guys, if there's anybody out here with trucks, I could use any volunteers I could, in the next hour or so." I had almost 200 trucks parked outside my office within hours.
Is that right?
Yeah, and that's just a beauty. And they didn't want to take charge. They just, I mean, what a beautiful neighborhood. The next day we had over 300, probably 30 boats, and we did
Wow.
a long line of 5 or 6 cars in a boat, 5 or 6, and the sheriffs took us all over the city, and Fairfield did a lot of great things. So it was
Isn't that
cool.
something? Yeah, I've done a few loans out in that area, and I love that area. I live just a little bit further east on 290 than Fairfield, but that
Sure.
is a great community.
Yeah, we love it out here for sure.
Yeah. So when you got started in this business, um, what was the most challenging thing for you?
I think I was kind of fortunate in my situation, I think, but I think one of the biggest challenges uh, was to realize that not to take stuff personally. You know, when I was mediating between one buyer and a seller, and the other agent was, maybe a little bit more animated. I got the
Mhm.
same amount of animated, and then as I learned, it did make sense because as agents, we're here to mediate. We're here to present the information from one side to the other agent to the other side and back. And I think that one of the greatest things I learned is, hey, don't take it personal. It's we're doing everything we can to present our client's story in the
Yeah,
best way possible for them to get and agree to whatever that best helps them.
yeah, yeah. So what would be three of your non-negotiables in this business? And I guess it doesn't have to be in the business, but maybe a couple in business and one in a personal standpoint. What are three deals that you just won't negotiate at all? Hey, I'm doing this. We do it this way. Uh, so give me three if you have those.
Sure. So I think the biggest thing is you have to always be busy. All right. This, I think I told you earlier, you take an individual who comes from corporate America, working a job 9 to 5 or whatever, and they come into this realm of real estate, and their expectation is complete and fast success. And that's not typically going to happen because once
Right.
people run out of family and friends, what do?
Yeah.
You know? So you have to be busy. You have to be the best version of you, and you have to be true to yourself. I'm, you know, I'm a little bit different. I'm true to myself. I'm in t-shirts. I'm a little bit more laid back. I don't dress up a lot like the typical. There's some unbelievable agents out here that they look the part, and
Yeah.
me, I don't know that I necessarily look the part. I just have so much fun doing this and helping everybody discover what their successes are, and that's what makes this fun for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you have to be engaged all the time. If you don't get out of bed, don't expect to make money,
Yeah,
right?
and that's a great point because you have so many people that you just said they just think this is so easy, and they see their, I don't know, maybe a friend that's been doing it for 10 years and making a lot of money, and they think that they can just jump in and do it overnight, and it's not easy at all. I teach a class. It's called Five Reasons 87% of Agents Fail, and why you won't be one of them if you do these things. And I'm shocked at the like just a simple CRM. Do you have a CRM to keep in touch with people, and because I think this business ought to get easier the longer we're in it, because we meet more people, we close more deals, and that one deal is supposed to refer you 4 deals. And if you do a good job for those 4, there's another, total of 17 deals ought to come out of this one closing that you have. But I think so many people are transactional focused that they don't, look down the road to think about, I need to stay in touch with these people.
Well, I think that, one thing that kind of set me up for this was having been in the military, and, we moved a lot and we helped each other move a lot, and I mean that each other, the soldiers. I can't even tell you how many U-Hauls that I loaded last year, or how many boxes my team went into houses and helped people pack.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't do that for any other reason but the fact that it was the right thing to do, because the stress that everybody was feeling during those times, whether they be going through a divorce, or they lost their job, or they're being transferred to another state, we have to do our best to minimize the stress that they're encountering as they prepare for that next journey.
Right.
And I think
Right.
we go out of our way for that. And the other thing that I always say to everybody is, don't chase the money. We have so many folks out here, unfortunately, that chase the money, and people can see that.
Yes.
You can tell when a person's, not doing this for the right reason, or maybe they want to do it for the right reason, but they can't. I see people move from broker to broker because of splits, but I could be wrong, but the one thing I think is very pertinent is the fact that people don't really look at splits when they're selling houses, because they're getting paid, they're
Yeah.
making money. So don't worry about that. Go help everybody.
So
Do
was
everything.
there ever a time during your career that you're like, man, this is not worth it? I think I'm going to try something else.
No.
No.
Oh my God, this is by far the funnest thing I've ever done in my life. I don't want to say it's the easiest, but it is the easiest. Because if you get up every morning and you do something and you're consistent, you're going to do great things. I've seen so many agents that have been with Ben Holmes and Gary Green that were struggling 4 or 5 years ago, and now they're just doing great things, doing a good job. People love them. They're making a good living. And
Yeah.
it's just because they didn't quit. So,
Yeah, and I think they have
yeah,
the
no.
systems that you're talking about as well. They know what they're doing on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. It's a we called it the um, it's just a sweat. I it's SWET, same way every time. And so we do the same thing on
Yes.
Monday that we do on last Monday, and same thing Tuesday, same thing on Wednesday. We call our, people that are under a contract on Tuesdays, and we update everybody involved in the transaction. Wednesdays, we're calling our past database. Thursdays, we are calling all these people that are pre-approved and looking. Hey, do you need anything from us this week before you go out for the weekend? Every day has a theme for us. And I think, to your point, a lot of people get up and think, what am I doing today? And they don't show up to work.
And even when they show up, they don't work.
Yeah, they
So
don't know what
I
to
think
do.
I think that, the training that they have here at Better Homes and Gardens is pretty amazing. The lady who is in charge of our training used to be a Tom Ferry coach. And
Okay.
she has put together we're going right now. We're doing road to the top. Everybody is available to everybody in our brokerage, all 1,600 agents. Right. We have a call every Monday. We're broken into teams. We're doing all these things. And although in my mind, I think I did fairly well last year, I'm still doing it. So
Hmm.
why would you not do it? Something that they're offering to you for free. And
Right.
every single time I'm on a call or in a meeting, it's if I get that one nugget that makes the difference to help my business. And then on top of that, there's these the staffs of getting, okay, this is gonna sound like I'm really plugging Better Homes and Gardens, right? And
That's okay. You can
and
plug it
you
all
know
you want.
what? I don't know that I'm doing that intentionally, but the reality is this: they have things in place right now for all agents to be successful if they do what they're being asked to do. But the reality is, agents are contractors.
Right.
So they don't have to do. So now that they're a contractor, they feel, well, nobody can tell me what to do. So they don't do anything. So then they disappear, or they start calling, or they leave because they're not, they sold 2 houses instead of 10, and they're looking for a bigger split because they want the extra pennies. Well,
Mhm.
if you do what you're asked to do or what's suggested to you every single day, I mean, we have a pamphlet. This is what you do every day. This is what you do every week. This is what you do every month. This is what you do every quarter. This is what you do every year. And you
Yeah.
plug it in a planner and just do it. It's no different than when we were in corporate America. We went to work, we followed our training schedule, and we finished. And we
Yeah.
just kept going. So yeah,
Yeah.
I get kind of having been an army recruiter. Nobody wakes up in the morning to go wanting to go in the army, and we went out and found them. I think the program that they have installed here can help anybody be successful if they want.
Yeah, I think it gets back to you got to know what you want. And I'm in those classes, and I'm surprised at the number of people that they don't know what they want to make. So they don't know how many calls they have to make.
Yes.
They don't know how many conversations that you need to make. I mean, we know that if I make 30 phone calls, there's going to be about 10 of you answer, and probably two are going to start doing business with me for one reason or another. The other, just don't have time, or they're very locked in with their lender or whatever the case may be. But we know how many calls we have to make before we're going to get some yeses. So, but they don't know. If you really break down making 200,000, it doesn't. It's not. I don't want to say it's not hard, but it's not difficult if you do what you're supposed to do, like you're talking about.
Well, I'll tell you this. The one thing that I always tell everybody is in my mind, there's 3 sets of goals: what you need to make, what you want to make, and oh my God,
Yeah.
just like that. And you have to be very realistic. You have to manage your own expectations. So what typically happens is you have somebody that leaves corporate America making 60, 70,000, right? And all of a sudden they think they need to replace 60 or 70,000 in their first year. Is it doable? Yes. But the stress of it is what gets them. So what you find out is, well, if you take what you made and actually take it all the way down, what do you really need to make? So you made 60, but you had 401k, you had insurances coming out, and you spent so much for this, so much for that. When it's all said and done, okay, maybe you only need to make 30, right? And then you want to make the 60, and oh my God, would be 100. And then you plan and orchestrate your efforts to accomplish the 30, then the 60, then the 100. And as you hit those milestones, people can tell when you're doing good. They can see
Yeah.
it in your demeanor, how you present yourself, how you're acting, the whole 9 yards.
Right.
And then you'll be successful out here.
Right.
And I think that's the managing of expectation. I think that's where the biggest challenge is. People come and they see the guy in the Mercedes wearing the 3-piece, looking all clean all the time, and think, oh my God, he must make a lot of money, or she must make a lot of money. And the reality is, they may or they may not.
They may be in debt up to their eyeballs,
Exactly.
like the old commercial guy.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but
Well,
here, this is the only one of the, if not, I'm saying this is the only career field in my mind that you can make as much as you want if you put the effort to it.
right.
And here at our brokerage, even just on the team, there's so many people with so many ideas and so many things that are possible for you. The managers are every 30 minutes bringing agents through Zooms, calls, telling him what to do. And when the agent comes back the next week, probably 50% of them didn't do what they were charged with the last week. And then they wonder why they haven't sold a house.
Right. I've run across agents that are just always chasing the next shiny whistle, and they build a lot of bridges from one side to the other, or half bridges, and they never make it to the other side because they're always implementing brand new ideas, and they didn't finish the last idea that they had,
Exactly.
and then they step back and say, well, that didn't work. Ricky
Or,
told me this, and that didn't work. And
or they quit prospecting.
Right.
And that's the key. So I'm working 5 people. So I'm not going to prospect anymore. I'm going to be available for these 5 people. I don't care what happens. They call me, I'm there. I'm going to take them looking at houses. I'm going to do all these things. And I'm not going to prospect anybody else. So a month goes by, none of them have closed. A month and a week goes by, and one of them changed their minds. And then the other one you find out is unqualified because they made a financial decision that didn't make sense.
They bought a car right before closing.
And then another one just can't find nothing they like. So now they're down to 2. The reality is this: you have to prospect every day, picture the funnel, drop them in, massage it, and they come out when they're ready.
Right.
And once you start doing that out here, you can do nothing but excel.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what do you think about the market right now? Kind of switching gears on you.
Sure.
Because I think, there's so many people saying, well, I just wish it'd get back to normal. And I've been doing this 28 years, like I said earlier. And, I think the last 2 years was not normal. We're back to the old normal, which was, most of my career was somewhere in the 5-6% range. But you have so many people that, got used to hearing 2 point something, 3 point something, and they didn't realize that, hey, the federal government artificially kept these rates low as long as they did just so there wouldn't be a complete collapse. And so, what are you having difficulty resetting expectations with prospects and even your agents?
So I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to say that I heard somebody say something earlier on in the year, and what they said basically this: you're going to pay 1 or 2 mortgages this year. You realize that, right? You're either going to pay your own mortgage or you're going to pay somebody else's mortgage.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
So what makes the most sense? So the rate is 7-8%, but the house is yours, right? But if you're renting a house, because I've seen people renting houses $2,700, $2,800, that interest rate's 100%, isn't it?
Right.
So I think at this point you should possibly just help them manage their expectations, make people, especially the sellers, need to realize, okay, once upon a time, you have what the market says your home is worth. But during COVID, you had what the demand said it was worth, where there's no mathematical equation. It's just what somebody wants to pay for it. So it's kind of who knows how that looks.
Yeah.
But the thing that never changes, what the market says the house is worth. Well, now what we're doing is basically leveling out. The house is what the house is worth based on like houses in the neighborhood that have sold in the last 6 months, right? So the professional that you're working with as the seller, they're in your house because you feel comfortable with them or you trust them. If they're telling you based on numbers what the house value is, I would like to say, I would hope that the professional knows what they're talking about based on what the market says the house is worth. So yes, there is an opportunity for us as real estate professionals to educate the sellers, right? But now flip to the buyers. It goes back to what I said before, right? You want to pay for my house or you want to pay for your own house? And then if you take what I think you and I were probably at an age once upon a time. I think in the 90s, what was the interest rate? 12, 13%.
Yeah, late 80s, the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So that being said, I mean, so they get a 6 or 7% interest rate. So that's over the life of the loan. So maybe, and you're look, my first license was a mortgage license. I
Oh,
don't
really?
talk mortgage very often because
Mm.
the rules and everything changes all the time, but I know basic math. And it basically looks like this. If you buy a house and you pay at least one principal payment extra a year, doesn't that shorten the length of your term? Correct?
Absolutely.
So once it shortens the length of your term, it also shortens the average of your APR, right?
Right.
So these are things we as professionals need to put in, and I'm talking about real estate guys and girls.
Yeah.
We need to put that in the buyer's mind, turn them over to the lenders like yourself, and you just need to show them what that means.
Right.
Because all you do at that point is validate. So would I rather rent a house for $2,400 a month or buy a house at 7% for $2,100 a month?
Right.
And maybe they need to buy a house that's not quite the castle they were looking for to start off with, because the only thing that's always very true is real estate increases in value every year, 3 to 5% at least, right? I
Yeah.
think last year I heard that it went up 20%. So what a better investment. I know I talked to a lot of my clients about, I bought a house in Fairfield in 2020. It was listed for 195. We bought it for 200. And during the freeze, we ended up having to redo the whole house. But it's now worth probably around 300, 310. So
Hey,
20 to 23. Where can you get that kind of,
return.
yes. And not only that, it's paid off and it's being rented. And so that's positive cash flow.
Right.
Whereas I have, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm saying anyway, my brother who will call me and say, man, I just took a hosing in 401k, right?
Yep.
And correct me if I'm not wrong, Mark, that people can use their 401k to buy a house, right? Without no penalties.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Without any penalty whatsoever.
And most people don't get that. Most buyers are not educated, don't know that
Yeah.
because people aren't sharing with them. And
Right.
I think what we are charged with as realtors is educating the public, right? Help
Hmm.
people realize what they can do,
Right.
what they can have. And I think that's the biggest thing. So if we get them and we pair up with a great originator, a loan officer, and we're both on the same sheet of music, helping this individual get to what their dream is. And, maybe 3 or 4 years later, they can either rent that house or use that house to buy a new house and start moving up. My first house was 38,000. My second house was like 112. My third house, I think it was 320. And let me tell you, when I bought that house for 320, I was so scared. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my God, this mortgage payment, I don't know if I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then my next one was a little bit more, and it just continues to change, right? So when they talk to the real estate professionals, more times than not, we have been in their shoes, right? We understand what they're feeling emotionally,
Right.
financially, and it's not about the sell. It's about getting you to where you want to be
Right.
through
Right.
education, right?
Yeah. I think there's so many. I get back to this transactional focused realtor. They don't do what you have just described, and I mean it's very clear to me why your team and you are so successful because you do educate and you give them their options and then let them make the decision that's best for them. But you coach them along since you've been through it several times. But my first house, I think it was 55 or something like that. Then it went
Right?
to 126, and then went to 450 because I moved to Phoenix and everything was inflated out there and was able to come back. And only spend a little over 300 for a much bigger house than I had in Phoenix, but and that's the one we live in now. But yeah, I was trying to think if my realtor did what you're talking about, and I just don't remember them, walking us through like that. I mean, literally taking their hand and walking them through the process, and that's what we try to do as well. And I think you said a great comment about we need to be singing from the same sheet, basically.
Right.
And
Right.
if you're telling them one thing, what we tell them, it ought to be very, very close to the same thing.
So, and the other thing that I want to talk about, so we're talking about the basic purchase or sell of a house, but there's other things out there that people don't understand. New home sales, new construction, all right? Nobody should go to a new construction office without being represented.
Yeah, I agree.
It doesn't cost you anything, right? You do not pay the realtor. What happens though is you're allowed to be represented. Let me say the word,
I
boy.
know what you said.
That you're gonna definitely have to send that one out. You have to, you have to have a representation by an agent so you can come there, right?
Yeah,
That can actually talk you through everything. Can make sure, because you got to remember the individuals at the new builds, at the new constructions, they are employees of the builder.
yep,
When I first started, probably the first 2 years, I did what they call mystery shopping. What that basically is people would go in to the builders with cameras on and shop the builders to see what they would say, how they would talk, would they follow a process, whatever. So I got to learn a lot about builders that way, right? So I've always been very, very in tune with how the builders work, right? What's going on. But you got to remember this. Homes are built by man and woman, but that
yeah,
means there are things that can happen. So you want people to go in and look at them, right? So, I mean, it's very important that you use all the resources out here that you feel comfortable with to help you through that process.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
Yeah, because
um,
the salesmen, they're there to represent the builder, and they're there to try to get the best deal for the builder, because they're the ones paying their paycheck. So
right?
you're right; it doesn't cost you anything
That's
as a
true.
consumer. Yeah,
To use a realtor, no, it does not, right?
yeah,
And you know, I when I sit down and talk to everybody, not to show my age, I'm 60. I have a 38-year-old to 26, right? So I typically talk to everybody like I want somebody to talk to my kids when they're talking about doing the same thing. There's three negotiations when you go into the purchase or the sale. You negotiate the price, you negotiate the repairs, and you negotiate the appraisal, right?
Mhm.
And on the repairs, there's 5 things that are important, right? The plumbing, the HVAC, the electric, the foundation, and the roof. If the walls are purple, you can change the color.
right.
So I think we as realtors need to be the voice of reason and understanding to the person who's buying, because it's a way for them to buy their dream home and not walk away from something that makes a lot of sense to them because they don't understand and this is their first time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So if you were to go back and start all over again, what would you change?
What would I change?
Hmm.
Um, hmm, um,
And maybe there's nothing you would change.
no,
I'm not.
I actually I would, but if my wife sees it, she might not be happy. I would
Oh,
manage.
I can always edit this out if it's too
No,
bad.
I would manage the vacations. You know, um, so we're at a time in our lives that we vacation frequently, and naturally, my beautiful clients realize when I'm on vacation, that's when they need me. So make sure I
Yeah,
have my contingency plan for that,
yeah,
because I mean, It's totally amazing that everybody will be quiet, and all of a sudden I'm on a plane going someplace, and they're like, "Oh, I found this house."
Yeah, and I
You
have to
know?
see it right now.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
But so I say that, and I say that jokingly, but um, in a perfect world, 59 months, I'm gonna turn this over to my daughter who works with me, and she's unbelievable. By that time, my son will be retired, and his wife's a realtor in Charlotte. So everybody's slowly, surely coming back this way, right? My other daughter works at the title company at Providence, and she's totally amazing. So I'm very
okay.
fortunate that we have some key players in very good spots that, I mean, they're students of this business.
Mhm.
And realtors need to be students of the business. They need to get all the education they can. If my wife sees this, she'll probably go crazy because I am not the most studious person in the world. But the reality is, you need to get educated. You need to stay on top of what's going on out here in the market. And definitely need to not be as scared to ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah, that's key. I mean, you've got some incredible knowledge being in the business just 7 years. You've got some incredible knowledge that you can share with all these newbies and all of the training that you get. I mean, it's better to ask than to mess up, a big
Sure.
transaction. So, yeah, definitely. You beat me to one of my next questions, and we're coming up on 43 minutes right now, if you can believe it or not. When are you planning
Sure.
on walking away, and were you planning on passing this to a family member, selling the business, or just kind of shutting it down?
So, yeah, 59 months. 59. So I turned 60
59.
last month. Actually, tomorrow will be 58 months, right? I can say
All
that, right?
right. All
It's
right.
almost like we call it the short timers calendar in the military when you were stationed overseas someplace.
Hmm.
When you got down to the last 12 months, you have this big thing on the wall and you tear off a month every month or days and you mark through days, how many days you have left. So, yeah, I mean, I'll always be part of it on some scale. But my daughter's been working with me, Brittany, probably now a little over 2 years, and man, she's just unbelievable. She'll do a great job, and we'll keep
Good.
the core around her, and I'll always be there to help her. And all the clients love her. Excuse me, I think they probably like her more than they like me. But
Well, I'll
um,
have to meet her one of these days.
yeah, for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. But I mean, that's the way it's going to looking right now. I'll
Yeah.
just at that point, I'll get a chance to do what I really love. I go to felony court once a month with veterans.
Hmm.
We do a lot of philanthropy. I sponsor at the Mir. There's a Miracle League. I don't know if you know in Longbow YMCA, which is a league of kids with disabilities baseball.
Oh
What
yeah.
great families! Oh my God! So if you could ever
Huh.
put a plug in there, Mark, they always looking for sponsors. I think last year they had 18 teams. They
Okay.
play a couple innings every weekend during the season, and the kids are phenomenal, and so are the parents. Oh my gosh!
Hmm.
So we do that. Support the PBJ Family Youth Foundation. We do a lot of support for a lot of different things, and that's what I really want to do.
Okay. Well, sounds good. All right. So I'm down to the lightning round. You have about 2 more minutes.
Yes,
All right. So, and I tell you what, I would really love to have you back if you are open to that,
sure,
and maybe dive into a little bit more of the YMCA deal that you're talking about.
sure.
And so, I would definitely send out an invite to rejoin us, and maybe even your wife would want to get on here. She's welcome to join us as well. But we can cross that bridge down the road. So, favorite author or speaker?
So one of my favorite. So I like Stephen Covey. I like Brian Tracy, but one of my favorite books is called The Go Giver.
Yes, I've read that. Great
And
book.
and I think that if agents were out here practicing that, everything would be a lot different.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. All right, favorite vacation spot?
Germany.
Germany. Okay,
Yeah. Well, I lived there for almost 18 years, so that was my old stomping ground as a kid.
gotcha.
sir.
Gotcha. My parents have been there. They said it was beautiful. I took German in high school. I never have been to Germany, but I took German in high school. Favorite pastime or hobby?
Dominoes.
Dominoes.
Yes,
All
sir.
right.
Play
Just
dominoes.
all
And
right. Got
spades.
it.
Just, yeah.
All right. Favorite movie?
Last Samurai and Gladiator.
Love Gladiator. Great show. All right. The last one. Favorite sports team?
Wow. So when I used to have, being a military brat, I had all the typical teams. I did Los Angeles Rams football, Celtics basketball, the Reds baseball. But when I retired from the military and moved to Houston, I just went all Houston.
Really?
So yeah, I don't even care. So I'm here, Texans, the Astros,
Yes.
all of them. Yeah, I'm just the Rockets. Yeah,
Yeah.
the
I'm not much of a pro guy. I love college sports. And
okay,
A&M, my girls went to A&M.
okay,
I didn't go to. I couldn't get into A&M for one reason or another. I know what the
sure,
reason was, but and then my wife went to UT, so we got a mixed bag at our house. Of course, my girls are married now. They're
okay.
30 and 28, so it's just a Longhorn and a Bobcat
Uh-oh.
in the house now. So I'm a
Okay,
big college football fan. I love that, and I just love I don't know, the passion of the band and everything that's going on at that time. So anyway, well, Ricky, I can't thank you enough for giving me 50 minutes of your time. We'll edit a few things out, but you have really given some information that will help a lot of people. And if someone wants to get in touch with you or your team to talk about, maybe making a move, how would they go about doing that?
so my number is 832-541-7545. You can find me at the Ricky Chavez team at Gary Green, or my first name Ricky Rickey period Chavez Chavez at Gary Green with the E at the end.com. And we're here to serve you.
Okay, great. And I'm going to put all of that contact information on the description of the podcast and YouTube video as well. So that will all be written on there. So if you couldn't get that, you can either back up the video or just look in the description. But man, it's been a pleasure having you go on today, and we do hope that you'll come back and see us.
I appreciate it. It's been an honor.
Okay. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Yes, sir.
And we'll see you next week on Real Estate Pros of Houston. And have a great day. Talk with you later. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.